During the summer, I used to escape the city for a little retreat at my grandparents' house upstate. It became a yearly ritual, a sizable house with numerous rooms situated in a secluded area amid the woods. Our nearest neighbors were quite a distance down the road. The house offered ample space, with bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 3 floors, and an attic that my grandparents never utilized. Essentially, I claimed the basement as my domain, equipped with a bathroom, fridge, television for gaming, and a comfy couch, creating a perfect sanctuary to unwind and relax after a day of work or exploring the woods. One typical Friday afternoon, after finishing work around 5 p.m., I was prepared to unwind for the evening. My grandparents informed me they were heading out with friends for a show and dinner, reassuring me they'd return later. I cherished having the house to myself, ensuring everything was shut down and securely locked as I bid them farewell. Ordering a pizza, I retreated to my basement haven, locking the door so I wouldn't be disturbed if they checked on me upon their return. Everything was going smoothly. A few hours passed, and the sun disappeared, signaling the end of a lazy Friday evening. Around 10 p.m., while engrossed in my show, I heard floorboards creaking upstairs. Assuming my grandparents had returned with their friends, a common occurrence, I turned up the volume and settled back, eventually drifting off to sleep. As anticipated, I was roused by the doorknob rattling above, which I disregarded, planning to move to my actual bed after a couple of hours of rest. By midnight, the house was quiet, leading me to assume everyone had retired for the night. I ventured upstairs to the first floor, discovering the kitchen lights and the TV on mute, an oddity that caught my attention. Assuming my grandmother might be in the bathroom wrapping up her show, I left everything as is and proceeded to the stairs leading to the second floor. However, as I ascended, I noticed something amiss. From downstairs, I could typically see every room's door at night, and when my grandparents were asleep, they'd keep their doors closed, including the bathroom if someone was using it. Strangely, the second floor was pitch black and every single door was wide open. I called out, receiving no response. Instead, an eerie silence seemed to envelop the house. Glancing out the front window, I observed no cars in the driveway. I was alone. Feeling unsettled, I phoned my grandparents to check in, and they confirmed they were still out, anticipating a late return. When questioned if they had stopped by the house, they hadn't. Since 5 p.m., no one else had entered the house. I knew I hadn't imagined the sounds and presence. Upstairs, my nerves jangled as I cautiously explored the living room, holding a knife for protection. Foolishly, I refrained from alerting the police and silently checked the locked doors and windows. All remained secure. Seated in the living room, listening intently, I encountered nothing but silence. After an hour, the front door finally opened, and my grandparents returned, calming my nerves. We conducted a thorough search of the house, finding no signs of a break-in or any further incidents. However, following that night, my grandparents relocated, and I found it difficult to sleep comfortably in that house. It always felt as though I was being watched, a sensation that persisted to this day. Now, as I reflect on those events, I realize we never searched the attic that night, nor did my grandparents ever venture up there. The house offered so much space that we never found a reason to explore it. It's a contemplation that brings some comfort. Perhaps nobody else had entered. However, the realization that the attic entrance was in my bedroom still lingers in my thoughts. At 24 years old, I had been living on my own for 2 years in a very small bungalow. The attic in my place measured about 5 by 5 meters, making it feasible to stand only in the center. I worked the night shift at a factory, typically arriving home around 8 am. One Thursday, after returning during a heavy storm, I went straight to sleep. When I woke up, I realized I was so exhausted that I hadn't checked my phone notifications. I have a Ring camera outside my door, which captures anyone approaching my room. Reviewing the footage, I noticed the camera had been activated at 7:42 am. The video showed a man right at my door, attempting to manipulate the handle for about 10 seconds until he spotted the camera. He hurriedly scuttled away. This incident unsettled me, although it didn't entirely creep me out. As I went to make some food, I discovered something unsettling in my kitchen. The back window was open. Thoughts of a potential home intruder raced through my mind, but I gradually convinced myself that I must have left it open. Throughout the day, I noticed several small anomalies that made me increasingly uneasy. The tension lingered until around 9 p.m. when I was watching TV. Out of the corner of my eye, I noticed something alarming. The entrance to my attic was slowly being pushed open. At first, I questioned my sanity, unsure if I was hallucinating. However, when I looked directly at it, I distinctly saw fingers wrapping around the hatch, slowly moving it further. Panic gripped me. I grappled with the decision of whether to leave the house and call the police or confront whoever was up there. I opted for both, dialing 911 while racing to my bedroom to lock the door. As I sprinted, I heard the hatch being forcefully moved with remarkable speed. I peered down the corridor, catching a glimpse of darkness in my attic. A human hand clung to the ceiling. I shouted, threatening to call the police and claiming to have a gun, despite not having one. Adrenaline surged through me as I tried to sound as intimidating as possible. Then, I witnessed something unforgettable, the hand slipping back into the darkness, followed by the figure dropping down. I slammed and locked my bedroom door hastily. The call connected to the police, and they dispatched officers to my residence. I informed them of the potential intruder, unsure if he was armed. I heard the man approaching my door, attempting to turn the handle. He ransacked my kitchen cupboards, causing a commotion. Despite my terror, he remained until the police arrived and apprehended him. He was a homeless man, armed with a knife he found in my kitchen. Reports revealed he had been attempting to break into other houses in the area. Though the immediate threat was neutralized, I remained deeply afraid to sleep. I've taken precautions, sleeping with my bedroom door locked and all windows shut. Additionally, I keep a knife under my pillow. While I know the chances of a repeat incident are slim, I can't shake the memory of him dropping down from my attic. Ever since I was a child, I've lived in a house with 3 rooms and an attic. Growing up with 1 brother and 2 sisters meant we had to share rooms. My sisters each had their rooms on the 2nd floor, while my brother and I shared the attic. Our attic had a sloping roof, and when I was younger, I used to see big, round eyes under the sloping roof landing. They resembled the eyes of an owl when you could see its entire eyes. Initially, I assumed they were birds, as I'd often seen on TV that birds had large, round eyes. However, as I've grown older, I realized birds couldn't possibly have accessed the space under the roof. Moreover, there were no electronic devices or any items that could explain these sightings. During the day, everything seemed normal, but each evening I would see those eyes again. Recently, I discussed this with my mother and grandmother, and they revealed that it wasn't just me. My brother and sister had also seen these eyes. While my sister doesn't remember it clearly, my brother partly recalls these sightings. Our mother mentioned that when we were little and shared these experiences, she sometimes went to investigate but couldn't see anything and didn't think much of it. Then, Unexpectedly, my grandmother disclosed that she always sensed a kind of negative energy in the attic. When we went upstairs, I pointed out the exact spot where I often saw the eyes, and my grandmother confirmed it was precisely where she felt that negative energy, which she believes still lingers. Having almost forgotten about these occurrences, I was gaming with friends one night, sharing our paranormal experiences, and as I spoke about it, I suddenly felt a hand on my shoulder. It was around 2 a.m., and no one else was awake. When I mentioned this to my friends, they were incredulous, thinking I was imagining things. I'm curious if anyone else has had similar experiences or knows what this could have been.